Week 2 is fast approaching here in the college football season, and we've got a lot to talk about. We had a top 25 release yesterday. We have a new preview today to talk about. And then we've got my top 25, the Armchair Analysis top 25 here to release as well for you. So, plenty to talk about, plenty to go over today. Welcome in. This is Armchair Analysis, Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. What a time. We're already in September. We're already fast approaching the winter. Not that I'm excited for that, but excited because we've gotten some crisp fall-like air. Saturday morning was fantastic. We woke up Saturday morning, walked outside, beautiful, beautiful. A nice little breeze flowing. It was great. It means it's football season, and we've got plenty to talk about. Top 25 dropped, and there's a lot of there's a lot to go over about it, including teams that rise drastically, teams that fall but yet stay in the top 25. We got plenty. We got to talk about all of it here. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about this top 25 that the AP released yesterday, which included Ohio State at number one. I can be in agreement to that. In fact, I am. I'll spoil that already. Ohio State at number one is what we have here. LSU jumps up to number three. I can agree with that too. They looked really good the other day. I thought they were fantastic. I'm fine with that. Miami jumps into the top five. Texas, Clemson, Notre Dame all drop and kind of sit evenly, 7, 8, 9. I'm not hateful to that. I think there's certainly argument for that. There's argument for higher. There's even argument for lower if you really wanted to, but I'm not hateful to where they're at. South Carolina jumps into the top 10 and takes over the spot that Alabama vacates. You move on down, you got Illinois, Arizona State, Florida. Oh, Florida State. Unranked, number 14. We talk about week one overreactions. I think we're looking at one right there. Michigan at 15. Iowa State jumps all the way up to 16. That's a good rise for them. I think that's certainly fair. And then you got other teams. Alabama drops down to 21. Ole Miss and Tennessee jump up a little bit. And then Utah joins the top 25 at the bottom. They're the second and last team to jump into the top 25. Teams that fall out, Kansas State and Boise State drop out. We've got a little different of a look here. We can look at that, but I really don't care because that doesn't do anything to what we have here. And you can see it there. At number one, we have Ohio State. Keeping that plain and simple. They look good. The defense was great. They played well. They made Arch Manning uncomfortable. They did what they needed to do and won the game. The offense looked a little elementary, but there's a long way to go in the season. I'm not gonna hold them struggling against a solid Texas defense against them. Put them at number one. Penn State at two. If they played, they've got a long way to go to prove themselves as number one. I'm not too worried about it, but I like them at number two. They're solidified as a top two team for now. LSU at three. Really liked what they brought to the table. They were solid defensively. Blake Baker certainly changed things up, did things in a way that I think really puts LSU in contention, not only for a playoff spot, but a national championship appearance, should they be able to keep this up all year long. Georgia at four. I like Georgia a lot. I thought they looked really good. They played well. Just it felt like they were kind of back into what we've seen in the past. So we'll see as time goes on. They've got a big game against Alabama, Tennessee, even later on this month. Texas stays in the top five, and the reason for that is I thought the defense played well enough that they're going to be fine. They're going to be okay, especially if we can see Arch Manning kind of adjust and adapt to what he struggled with, fix what he struggled with over the course of the game against Ohio State. They're not going to face a defense as good as OSU all year. They're probably not even going to face defense as good as OSU in the rest of the regular season. I mean, they'll play Georgia, sure, but there's not many teams that can compete with what Ohio State does. So for me, Texas stays at number five. I like where they're at, but I do need to see some improvement. They're going to play San Jose State. We're not going to get a big change in that this week, but they certainly have the ability to prove some doubters wrong. Miami jumps up to number six. Really liked what they look like against Notre Dame. Felt good to put them in the top six. Clemson falls to seven. Look, they still played a really good game, and sure they could have lost by 2 scores. We could say what we want about that game, But at the end of the day, Clemson still looked good. The defense looked fine. The offensive line struggled a little bit. We'll see how they go down the line, but we'll keep them at 7. Oregon falls a spot to 8, but there's plenty of time. This again, if we're worried about a week 2 ranking, there's higher priorities down the line than the week 2 ranking. Arizona State at 9, and then Notre Dame comes in at number 10, keeping them in the top 10. I thought a lot of CJ Carr in this game, and certainly helps me put them in that spot. At number 11, we got South Carolina. 12, Florida. 13, Michigan. You'll see a lot of teams stay the same this week. Oklahoma jumps to 14 from number 15, so we'll see a pretty close matchup based on what I think. And granted, that's just my opinion, but based on what I think, we got a pretty close matchup coming up this weekend. Texas Tech at 15, they look good. That offense didn't miss a beat over the offseason. They played really well. Granted, it's Arkansas Pine Bluff, but they look good. Illinois has a pretty tough test this weekend, but they jump up to 16. They were at 18 coming into the week, to week 1. They'll go to Duke this weekend, and I'm playing. That's going to be a tougher game. I'm excited to see how that one turns out. Texas A&M at 17. Really liked what the offense looked like. The defense was a bit skeptical for me. We'll see what they continue to do, how they adjust and build, but was not overly impressed with them defensively. Nonetheless, they're at 17. Iowa State at 18. Feel good with them being right there, especially after what we saw from Kansas State. Hard for me to overreact to what they did, so we'll just put them at 18. Indiana 19, TCU at 20. I feel like there's a little overreaction, but at the same time, everybody in front of them that puts them from 25 to 20 this week lost. So, other than Georgia Tech, they jumped Georgia Tech simply because of the way they won. But they played really well. They were extremely impressive. I don't really care how bad we want to say North Carolina was. That was a really big win for TCU. 21, we got Georgia Tech. 22, Ole Miss. SMU 23. Auburn jumps in. Really liked what Jackson Arnold looked like, but the defense played well themselves throughout the majority of this game. Auburn controlling the offensive line, the line of scrimmage, specifically on offense, but controlling the line of scrimmage, running the ball well. They looked pretty good. I'm going to put them in the top 25 here. And then Tulane rounds it out. They looked very good in their win against Northwestern. Created a lot of turnovers. Jake Retzloff looked good. So they'll jump in at number 25. Teams that fall out. We had Alabama last week in here that drops out. We had Kansas State fell out on us here. But did not love what they were last week either. Trying to see what I'm missing here, because I know there's somebody else that I'm not bringing up and somebody's going to be upset if I don't. Let me go ahead and find it here. I'm not seeing it. That's insane. Was it 2 weeks ago then? Here it is. Trying to find the other ones that dropped out. Baylor dropped out. Boise State dropped out. Those are the other two that we lost. So Alabama, Kansas State, Boise, and Baylor all fall out of the top 25 from the preseason. So that's where we sit for right now on our top 25. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you would change, what you would adjust, do differently if it was your top 25. Always love the discussion down below, and welcome it anytime. And anytime you guys want to come after a take, please do. But with that said, let's move on and let's talk about the game. Big noon kickoff is going to be over there in Ames for this weekend's matchup. Iowa State hosting Iowa, the Cy-Hawk Trophy. This is a big deal in this one, because this is really going to prove to us, either is the hype legit for Iowa State? Is Iowa good? Can they be good? We look at this team, we look at both these teams, and the biggest storyline, I think, is the fact that Iowa ran for only 48 yards against Albany, threw for only 48 yards, but ran for 310. Meanwhile, they contained the run pretty well, 43 yards rushing, 134 pass yards. They did what they needed to do. They took care of business against Albany, certainly. Iowa State, on the other hand, has looked really good. They played very well against Kansas State and Ireland. They played really well against South Dakota last week, even though they struggled a little bit early. They then pulled away. The biggest thing that I look for in this game is Iowa needs to find a pass game. They need to be able to throw the ball. And Mark Gronowski, everybody super high on what he could do, what he had the potential to do. We need to see it early in this game and him be able to throw the ball, because I don't think that you're just going to be able to run the ball all over this Iowa State defense. Main reason is because I think that's going to be a focus point for Iowa State's defense. They're going to try to contain the run. They're going to try to stop this Iowa rushing attack and really force us to be on Mark Gronowski, force us to be on the Iowa receiving room, and really find a way to create problems. Iowa, of course, is typically the team on the side of creating issues, being a team that forces a lot of turnovers, creates a lot of issues in the backfield, but I just don't see that happening this week. I think there's a lot of, I have a lot of doubt based off of, not even based off of last week, but just in general about this Iowa team. Will things change? Will things look different? Right now, the answer is really no, at least based on what we saw last week, what we could see this week. Hard to overreact. Again, I say that word a lot after week one, because we tend to overreact to everything. But you really have to keep yourself away from that. You have to keep yourself in the idea that this team may have just been holding something back last week. Maybe they weren't. Who knows? But I have a hard time believing they're going to only throw for 48 yards this week. If they do, I can already tell you who I think is going to win. You look at these two teams, and I write down three things every time we go into this for keys to this game. Already talked about containing the run game for Iowa State. That's a big deal for their defense. They need to take care of the football. The times recently that Iowa State has lost in this game is because they've had unnecessary turnovers, unnecessary mistakes that have taken them out of these games. If they can take care of the ball and really maintain possessions, capitalize on scoring opportunities, which is another key here, they can do those three things. I think there's really not a question Iowa State will win. You look at the Iowa side, and that's we talked about find the passing game. You need to be able to throw the ball on this one. Create turnovers. Something Phil Parker defenses are known for. Can they create the big turnover? Can they create a big play in the right moment defensively that gets them good field position, gives them a chance to capitalize, and maybe even be able to win this game if they do it at the right time? The other thing I've looked at here is force Rocco Becht to beat you with his arm. What he's done so far in this season has been a little bit of that, but we've seen a lot of him really doing it with his legs, especially in that Kansas State game late. He was able to really move the ball with his legs, escape the pocket, create plays on improvise, create plays and improvise to ultimately win the game against Kansas State, and certainly kind of blow the game open against South Dakota. We'll see what happens, but you look at this game, you look at the lines, -3.5. Iowa State's a favorite. Over-under sits at 41.5. You're always safe betting the under in this game, and I'm going to continue to do that. Now, I'm not telling you what I'm betting, because that's our Take 10's Friday. We got some time. But what I am looking at right now, Iowa State -3.5, over-under 41.5. I'm taking Iowa State to cover. I'm taking the under in this game based on the score prediction. I got Iowa State 16, Iowa 6 in this game. I think it's going to be low scoring. It's going to come down to who can, again, capitalize on the most of their opportunities. I think that's going to be Iowa State. So, again, 16-6 is my final score prediction. Let me know what you guys have. Not a lot of news today. Tomorrow we'll have a preview of everything on Thursday. We've got plenty of games to talk about. We'll have a little other discussion as well. Coach Prime had some interesting comments, and I wanted to save it for tomorrow because I got a pre-record for tomorrow. So, some interesting comments from Coach Prime about the way his team played and his timeout usage at the end of the game. So we'll certainly talk about that. Kind of talk about what could have been done differently. Armchair coaching. This one is what we'll call that segment. And then again, we'll preview Thursday, get you set for the weekend. Friday again, we'll be back. Take 10. Trying to improve off of last week, which we couldn't do much worse. And then we'll also have a Friday preview. We may not have a recap of Thursday, depending upon when I'm able to record. I've got work the next 2 days, and I'm getting ready to go out of town. I got to go up back home on Friday for some personal matters. And then, so which means Saturday, there will not be a live show Saturday morning. I've already kind of made that decision. We will not have a live show Saturday morning at 10 a.m., but we will be here Sunday evening at some point. I'm going to get home and we'll recap everything we saw on Saturday. So feel free to stick around, be here. And certainly if you are new around here, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you're taking in this game, Iowa State or Iowa. Let me know if you agree with my top 25. Again, all that discussion is welcome. And again, we will be back here tomorrow with our Thursday preview and a look at, again, Coach Prime's comments about the end of that game on Friday night. So thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow.